Welcome back, Wild Riders. I'm Lupine Fiasco. This is Daily Kayo gameplay, and today we're looking at a Vynnset game. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, then compare that to the line I took at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like ProQuests or Road to Nationals, and most importantly, walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, the FaB deck link is available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you have not already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily Kayo gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you daily FaB gameplay Discord access. At higher tier levels, your name will be featured in every DKG video. You'll get bonus DKG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily Kayo gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to support me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard and a bit about the Vynnset matchup. This is our last day with the We Make Best Berserk list, and tomorrow we will start working with Yuki Lee Bender's Battle-Hardened Hartford winning deck list. Vynnset will, I think, largely be an easier matchup for Kayo than she was for FaB. Kayo plays better on 2-card hands, sending 8s and 9s instead of 6s and 7s. He also blocks better on average. This is all to explain why I believe that we do not need Arcane Barrier in this matchup, and why I will be bringing Bonebreaker instead. Here's an example of why I'm falling out of love with Berserk. Vynnset is a hero where I would love to bring the build that preys on lack of disruption, but can't because of Vynnset's numerous defense reactions. I'm terrified that my big turn will end because my pulping lost its go again, so I'm sticking to a mid-range plan. I'm going to block physical damage when it's smart to do so, and full send when it isn't. We're also going to look for an opportunity to block with Fleshbag to deny a pummel. It's worth noting that send packing could inadvertently send a Runegate attack to banish, but we aren't going to play around that possibility. Vynnset isn't a hero that I would really plan to play against often, so let's see if I can navigate the matchup here. With Vynnset going first, we draw into an Agile Windup. That is a great pull for us on turn 0. I'm not expecting to get to cycle any cards out of my hand here. Without Arcane Barrier, we can't pitch to prevent any Scepter of Pain damage. And if Vynnset is attacking us, we won't get to block. So being able to discard the windup on turn 0 is huge. Now, very quickly, I don't think that is a reason for Kayo to ever go first. I think for the most part, outside of specific situations, Kayo always wants to be going second and having the potential to fire off a turn 1 Assault and Battery or Pound Town or even just a Bare Fangs to get your Kayo effect is not enough of a reason for me to think that we should ever be going first. Now, in Vynnset, we would have loved to go first because Vynnset doesn't get the opportunity to set up early rune chance. But for the most part, I think Kayo always wants to be going second and will have a higher win rate going second. We make our agility and the turn will come back to us. With the cards in hand, we have a few options. What I like doing here most of all is E-Strike for 5, draw a card, bottom our Swing Big, then attack with Bare Fangs. We send 13 damage, we make our Might, and we set a card into Arsenal. Alternatively, we could attack with Swing Big, pitching our blue, then attack with Bare Fangs, pitching our E-Strike. That's probably our best line. It is a 17 damage, 4-card turn cycle. We are threatening Vynnset with big damage. We are not leaving a card in our arsenal to get hit by widespread destruction. So I actually do like that more. I think that is the better line than just having a random card off the top of our deck. We end up taking a similar line. By opening up with Bare Fangs, we open the possibility of discarding one of our reds and drawing a blue, which we did do. We just didn't discard the right card. Had we discarded our Enlightened Strike and kept a blue, we would have been able to work a claw into this turn for our highest value. If we had kept our blue and not our Swing Big, we would have gotten to follow this with E-Strike for 7. So me in the past year was on it. Opening with Bare Fangs, I think the best line of play there. It opens the door for the most damage. But I do think that E-Strike for draw a card to use our Quicken was definitely the worst line of the lines available to us. Vynnset here just passing the turn. I don't know enough about Vynnset to know if that is good. I assume not. I assume Vynnset does not want to just take 2 blood debt and pass with 2 cards in hand and 1 card in arsenal, but I don't know the hero well enough to know what she could have been going for. Looking at our hand here, it's a little clunky without beaten trackers to get an extra action point from our Savage Feast. I really do not like rolling Scabskins as a rule. The only time I want to be rolling Scabskins is on my last turn of the game, and then only because a 4 or higher wins me the game, and anything lower than a 4 loses the game. So I don't like rolling Scabskins here, which means that based on what we have in hand, what I am probably doing here is sending Command and Conquer for 7, pitching Send Packing, then I am discarding Mighty Windup to Kayo. We don't have a great line outside of that. We could attack with Claw by pitching Send Packing, then we discard our Mighty Windup to give the Claw go again. But without another resource available to play Command and Conquer, we just have 2 reds in hand. We don't have our Tunic up. So CNC, pitch Send Packing, discard Mighty Windup to its own effect, make a Might from it and a second Might from KO, and set a Savage Feast in Arsenal just seems like the best line. Savage Feast being in the Arsenal is not the greatest card we could have. It is a essentially 3-card 7 that does replace itself, but does not let us really block out with a hand and then send something decent, a 2-card 8 or 9 from Arsenal. But it is better than nothing, and if we ever get an agility setup, it's going to be a great way to start a turn. Vynnset, banishing widespread destruction, so we really don't have to worry about how we're going to get value out of this Savage Feast in Arsenal because it will be gone. We will take 4 arcane damage. As far as the widespread destruction, whether it hits or not doesn't matter anymore. We have already taken damage with combat chain, and our Savage Feast is already banished. The question is, do we want to block this widespread destruction, or do we want to save this hand for our crackback? We have a Might on the board. We can E-Strike for 5, go again, Wild Ride, Mandible Claw as a 4-card 15. We could block with E-Strike Riled Up for 6, then pitch our blue to Wild Ride Claw as a 4-card 16, which sounds like our best line. Blocking widespread destruction with E-Strike and Rile Up seems like the biggest value line. I am also on board with blocking with Fleshbag to prevent my Vynnset from pummeling here. I don't know if she has it, but I do know that she has 2 cards in hand. So being able to stop the pummel is really nice upside. If we are now choosing between overblocking for 8 or blocking for 2, we could give a card from hand here just to take 3 less damage, but at this point, if we are stuck between overblocking and just sending full damage, I like sending. Vynnset playing Requiem of the Damned, using a Tunic. Things are happening. We are just getting Sceptered of Pain, which we can't stop. So we will take our 1. Vynnset gets a Rune Chant. She still takes 2 Blood Debt damage, which I can't imagine is correct. And we can send our E-Strike for 6, 7 go again at this point. And then Wild Ride, Mandible Claw. Assuming the Wild Ride hits, we might draw discard something not great. We do in fact hit, so Kayo makes a Might. This Wild Ride is coming for 6 with go again, and we will end our turn with a Mandible Claw. So not a bad little turn cycle from us. Reduced to Rune Chant here does get its 5 points of value. That's still fine. We are really laying the value on thick here. I'm really impressed by Tunic the more I play Kayo as opposed to Hardened Crosstrap. Hardened Crosstrap is very powerful. It gets you more damage on Blood Rush Bellow turns. It means that you can block with 4 cards from hand, then break Crosstrap to send a big swing big from Arsenal, but overall, Tunic just sticks around, and more often than Kayo needing 2 resources to play a turn, is Kayo needing 1 resource to play a turn. And Tunic just continues to impress. Vynnset doing some nonsense. We are going to take our 3 Rune Chants. We have a Deathly Delight coming for 6. Vynnset has taken Vynnset damage this turn, so Deathly Delight will heal her up to 13 once the chain closes. It does have go again, so possibly looking at a Flail of Agony at the end of this turn. What we have in hand might lead me to just take 6 here. It looks like I'm setting up to block, possibly with Bonebreaker and Savage Feast. We block 5, we make a Might. On our turn, we send Swing Big for 10 and Arsenal a Wild Ride. The only reason I would think about not doing that is just based on our life total. We can easily afford to take 6 here. On our turn, we get to send a Wild Ride for 8 with go again, very likely. Depending on what we keep from our Savage Feast and our Swing Big, we could follow that up with a Savage Feast that draws us a card for the Arsenal, or we could draw a blue and discard our Savage Feast and send Claw Swing Big. I really think we should not be blocking here. I see the value in blocking. We are going to get our Swing Big and an Arsenal, but I think Vynnset is very killable from this point, and we can leverage this hand to be much more aggressive than we are choosing to be here. Some nonsense happening with Eloquence tokens. There was an undo. Flail of Agony is something that I don't mind blocking. I would like to put Scab Skins in front of this. I choose Tunic instead, perhaps anticipating that this game is not going to go long enough to get another Tunic activation, but I think we are so far ahead on life that we can overblock with Scab Skins. The reason to save the Scab Skins is to block a Mavrian Skies. That said, we could still cover 2 with Tunic and the back half of Scab Skins, so I think that was a value leak from us. I also, again, think that we should be sending more damage this turn. We should have kept our hand and just tried to go for a bigger damage turn. We would have had another Savage Feast on top of the deck, so maybe overall that turn would not have been great. Here we are looking at a Deathly Whale. We take some Arcane. This whale is going to generate a rune chant if it once the chain closes. We've already taken damage. Thinking about how we want to block this, if we can cover this up with Assault and Battery, then we just get to send Assault and Battery. We could also just play our Wild Ride from Arsenal, pitch our Blood Rush Bellow, which I think is the best line. I think we just need to really leverage our life total here. I'm not entirely sure what my plan is here. I hope it isn't to Blood Rush Bellow and just pray that we draw into a blue. That seems very bad. Vynnset closes the chain, Vynnset makes more rune chants, and then Vynnset comes in with another Deathly Whale, which is very cool. We block with Scab Skins and then undo. I think, again, we should be leveraging our life total here. Coming in with Wild Ride is fine, but again, I think we should not have blocked with our Savage Feast. Wild Ride does miss. We draw and discard a Blood Rush Bellow, so the Wild Ride does not have go again. It still is dealing lethal damage, so Vynnset will need to block it in some way. Notably, if we still had our Savage Feast, we have more opportunity to not discard a Blood Rush Bellow there. Drawing the Blood Rush Bellow and discarding something else lets us Mandible Claw and take Vynnset off of being able to do anything. So overall, we really are seeing how us not being aggressive earlier and letting this game draw out is coming back to bite us. Deathly Delight coming for 10. Vynnset will heal once the chain closes. I really don't want to go to 2 against a Vynnset. Not that I'm worried that she's going to kill me on my turn, but if she is able to survive long enough to put 2 rune chants together, we just die. Thinking about the Assault and Battery in our arsenal, I am interested in setting up a Agility. So I would like to keep my blue Agile Windup and my Wage Agility to discard to Beat Chest, which means that I am blocking this Deathly Delight with Send Packing, Assault and Battery, and we should probably block with Scab Skins just to make sure that we are holding on to as much life as we can, blocking what we can, rather than holding on to it and then dying to unblockable arcane damage. So we can go to 9 here. We'll send 7, which Vynnset will need at least 2 cards to cover. And we are creating an Agility that will hopefully let us win the game on our next turn. Of course, getting our Might as well. We catch Vynnset with a number of 2 blocks, which is great news for us. We, of course, have the life total that Vynnset can't just go for it. She is just going to clear the Blood Debt and pass, and with our Quicken, our agility token, we do have cards in hand to send Assault and Battery for 7, then Beast Within for 6. 13, very likely enough to win the game. If this does not win the game, then we are at least keeping Vynnset on no cards in hand. Of course, me in the past correctly realizing that I can also discard my Beast Within to draw a card, and we draw into a higher damage line. Vynnset is going to go to 1 here, and Wage Agility is going to do enough to hit the breakpoint. Vynnset would need a defense reaction to stay alive, and she doesn't have it, so we pick up a pretty clean win. I did want to show this game. I thought the Vynnset did okay. We can see that she outvalued us by quite a bit, actually getting a full damage value more per turn than we did. But we hit our value where it mattered. We were generating our might, we were generating our agilities, and if you've taken a look at Yuki's list already, you know that her deck is better for generating the agility, and it's just really good. I think for Vynnset, we are just racing. We're treating it like FaB, where we don't run Arcane Barrier, we don't worry about trying to stop the arcane damage. Yes, we have blues in our deck, but we don't have that many blues to consistently be able to stop 4 or 5 points of arcane in a turn, and we aren't then able to return good damage as well. So we leave the Arcane Barrier in the sideboard, and we just hit Vynnset really, really hard until she dies. At least that's the way I'm treating this matchup now. Maybe something else will happen that convinces me we need to run some Arcane Barrier, but as of right now, I think just full aggro, full send is the way to beat Vynnset. Hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. I hope you are enjoying the daily Kayo gameplay on the whole. Kayo is extremely strong. He is already getting Living Legend points, and as lists are being tuned, I think he is only going to become more consistent. I've heard a lot of comparisons between him and Fuseless Lexi. Just as far as damage, Kayo doesn't have the on-hits that Lexi had, but I think it's fairly apt. Even just turn 1 in this game with an agility, we saw how he could have sent a 4-card 20. He's very strong, he's very good, and I am happy to be getting my reps with him now. So if you too are enjoying Kayo and Kayo gameplay, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't done so, I would ask you again to please subscribe to my channel. A YouTube subscription is free, it helps me out a lot. Whether you do or don't subscribe, I will see you back here tomorrow for more Kayo gameplay. Until then, take care.